Mr Chair, well, we heard in an earlier speech in this House that they call them the brown blues, the blue browns, and now I think we know why. Now I think we know why after that very disappointing speech from that MP, Alfred Naro, who came into this House because he was going to speak for his people, the Cook Islands people, and here we see him instead this evening when he's got the very best opportunity to do the right thing by the Cook Island people. He's going to vote against an SOP. He's going to vote against an SOP that is actually going to make Cook Island New Zealanders have a different standard for their right to have superannuation than other New Zealand citizens. And there is no other way to hide that, Minister, because what other New Zealand citizen is going to have to prove that they've been here for 5 years between the ages of 50 and 65 in order to get their superannuation? Wow. Who else is going to have to do that? I'm not going to have to do that. So what the Minister said before is clearly wrong, and unfortunately she seems to have pulled the wool over the eyes of some of her colleagues. Mr Chair, it's disappointing to hear that Alfred Naro and apparently Andrew Bailey have been in front of Cook Island communities pledging that they would fix this part up in the bill, and then when it comes to the voting action, clearly they're not going to honour that, and I think that's deeply disappointing. And it is shameful, because that is one of the things that this government's become known for, is to say one thing outside of the debating chamber and do another thing when it gets inside the debating chamber, and that is not going to enhance the reputation of that government or the New Zealand Parliament, actually, if they continue to do that. Mr Chair, when I spoke on the first reading of this bill, I paid homage to two very fine Cook Island leaders in our community who had not long passed when we were debating the first reading of this bill, Terry Chapman and George Ford. And I want to just pay homage to them again in the committee stages in part one we were debating the purpose of this bill, because I'm sad to say that they didn't live to see the day where they could have taken advantage of this bill. I'm sure it would have been something that they would have considered doing, because they both felt very strongly about not only the Cook Island community and supporting them in Hamilton, but also making sure that they kept very strong connections with the Cook Islands as well. So, Mr Chair, I feel very honoured that, in fact, that speech that I gave on the first reading was shown up and down many Cook Island churches right throughout the country, and I feel very honoured that that was the case. But I hope also that the Cook Island community will show the speech from Alfred Naro that he just finished in their churches as well, because I think that speech deserves an airing in front of the Cook Island communities, because it's no good, Mr Naro, saying one thing outside the debating chamber and saying quite a different thing when you come inside the debating chamber. Yeah, really, Mr Naro, are you ashamed? Are you ashamed that that speech would be shown in the Cook Island churches? What have you ever done to the Cook Island churches? No, he's happy for it to be shown, so I think it should be, and I want to, and I will be. I'll be supporting the SOP, Mr Naro, ahead of you. So let's just see. If you feel proud of the speech, please make sure that it gets played in the church services in the Cook Island churches up and down the country this Sunday. I think it would be very fine if you did that. Mr Chair, this bill is a step forward, but it could be so much better if the SOP put forward by New Zealand First, I think it's in the name of Winston Peters, the SOP put in the name of Winston Peters was to be supported across the House, because we actually do have unity across the House on every other part of this bill. The purpose of it is a fine purpose. I find it interesting that when we're debating it, we almost debate it as if we assume that it's only going to be people of Cook Island, Niue and Tokelau descent who are going to use this bill. But in fact, the way I read the bill, any of us could use it in this way. We could be resident in the Cook Islands, wouldn't that be lovely? In our later years, and use our New Zealand superannuation, which I think would support, I imagine would support quite a pleasant lifestyle in the Cook Islands or Niue and Tokelau, and certainly I think that's an opportunity.
I call Tracy Martin.